Did you see Uber coming? This morning I was reading an article on Bloomberg View. It's by the CEA, the Chief Economic Advisor at Alliance. He recently had a trip in London, and he learned quite a bit from the London cabbies. London cabbies go through this big process 4 years before they hit the roads. They have to know all the alleyways, the routes. They go through a formidable training just to be able to drive the black cabs. And if you compare that to here in the US, before Uber came, we were highly regulated. There is a highly regulated system about taxi cabs. Now, you could say, oh, thankfully that Uber came because, I don't have to take a cab anymore. I know growing up in Muskegon, Michigan, it would seem like almost every week there was an article in the paper about the city, and it's looking at the license of the cabbies. Another group was trying to establish their cab operation within the city. And if you don't know, Muskegon is very small. It's a very small community. It's sitting on the shores of Lake Michigan. It is a town that time has left. It was a big manufacturing and lumber processing area. The great forests of Michigan, the logs would come down the stream and be processed in Muskegon. There was an operation to take lumber, and still was of some sort today, of Scott paper towel, paper tissue, having a plant there. It was recently sold off, but in all of that, we have cabs that were running around and would disappear one week. Another company would start up, or they would rename themselves. And they thought they were protected. The government was so manipulating their industry and saying, oh, you could only do so many cents per mile, and you have to get it approved, and we have to check out the drivers, and all those regulations around who could drive. So they said, as long as we've got that license, we are protected. There's not going to be anybody else coming around. Well, Uber changed that. And go back to the story in London, the cabbies were having this philosophy, well, do it our way. They took on the fact that their way was the way the customers wanted. They weren't really listening to the customers. Customers wanted to pay with credit card. They wanted to have a good experience. They wanted to get fast from one side to the other. They wanted to do it as economically feasible as possible. They have a budget too. And they didn't want to sit in long lines. And, although London cabs, I think, are a little bit of an upgrade from our standard taxi cabs. The customer service may be a little bit better. But here's the point. They had a reality-based vision of they were protected. This is the way we do things. This is what customers want. This is what we're going to deliver. We're going to have it this way. Uber comes in and changes it. What happens? The cabbies realize they can't compete because they're regulated and Uber drivers are not. They're losing business, and they're realizing, well, one, we got to start upping how we charge or how we accept payment. We have to have better customer service. We need to understand client pickups. Let's get an app. Uber's got an app. Why can't we get an app? So they've now on an app that you can schedule pickup, and you can get your driver there when you need it. So it's a bit of a change versus trying to flag down the taxi and say, hey, and the taxis go right on by. Try that in New York, right? Stop. And you're lucky if you get one that's off service or, not taking someone to somewhere. and you stand and you wait and it's pouring rain, but now you can have this service. So defining reality. Reality is only that which we see. We tend to be siloed. We tend to focus in and say, well, the way I see it is the way I see it, and that's the way the world operates. And the leaders, people in positions of authority, not necessarily true leaders, but positional leaders, have control. You can see this play out all over the world. And you can see it play out in your community. There are people that hold positions of authority that then tell those people that they're oversight for how to act, what their world should look like, what they are to do. And sometimes you can change the system because you can work from within and remove that person if through an election. You can get on the commission or the council and be a voice, not necessarily discontent, but of change, of wanting a difference. You can work to, gather votes to put a ballot on the consideration by the council and then by the population to make a change here in the U.S. In other countries, it's, ruled differently. Leaders define reality. The reality is not what you think. It may not be what you think. It may be something that is different, something that you're not counting on. I'm thinking back to my reality. This was probably 20 years ago. In my reality, I was in a job, focused in on doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I thought, wow, banking is going to be a safe job. I'll never have to worry about it. I'll never have to go and, just be there, punching the clock and, getting my check and getting a promotion every once in a while and getting a little more pay, and I'm set for life. Well, that changed. And then I realized that my reality was wrong. People get fired. Well, maybe this wasn't 20 years ago. Maybe this is a little bit more than that. But later on, when you're in a position of, higher level in the company, you might have a little more insight. You might have a little more rumor going on that you can determine whether it is true. Or you have people at the top level that are your peers that will, let you in on some things, or at least discuss possibilities. So you know ahead of time, and you're not waking up one day and saying, well, today everybody get in the conference room and here's what's happening. Your jobs are being eliminated. What? It can happen, right? So our reality is, if we're not focused on what's going on around us and we're not preparing ourselves for our next step, we're going to be caught behind. Many different examples throughout that you can point to. I know you have ideas in your, better not shake the table so much. Here's the bottom line. There are examples that we tend to focus in, whether it's in our family, whether it's our relationship, our marriage, whether it's our business, whether it's just a friendship. Sometimes we build a reality that says, oh, it's great, it's stable, it's wonderful, we're doing great things. I don't know if you can hear this coming down, but there's a thunderstorm had passed through, and now we just got the rain coming through. And the rain's coming down and giving a little background. But what's the reality? Reality was there was sunshine, and now there's rain. What? Thunderstorms? When did the thunderstorms come? Of course, this is Florida, and you can always expect thunderstorms, or you can expect rain of one amount or another at one time of the day or another. But the reality here is that when the rain goes away, the sun or the clouds break up, and you see the beautiful blue, you see the beautiful warmth come back out. We have different realities based on where we're at and what we are holding true to. Here's 6 questions John Maxwell put together when he was going through a really tough time in his life, because he trusted, he had an idea of his company being strong, and his company having losses, and he thought, okay, I can stem the losses for a period of time, but then, it got worse, it got bigger, and he was hearing from his brother and from others he needs to take action. So here's 6 questions to keep you grounded, because I know you go through it, I go through it. We all have a time where our reality is fixed, it's not open, we're not getting the right input to determine whether we are defining reality correctly, so that we can make the realistic decisions. We can make the right time. We can not delay in making decisions, but we can do it at the right time with the right effect. People know because they're impacted. If you have a team and you are putting people out there under your team and you're just saying, hey, Mark, if you're welcome. You're talking about leaders and defining reality. If you make a decision and your reality is X, Y, and Z, and suddenly there's a different way, a different order that is the world in which you're operating. If you're looking at it, for instance, and saying, well, today I foresee earnings to be this, and I can pay my people, and I can give them a promotion or give them a raise in their pay, and I can keep them around and really focus on that. And then tomorrow you can receive a lawsuit that bankrupts the company. Or like this example, London cabbies receive a wake-up call that their level of service and their opportunity for how they deliver carting people from one place to another, couriering them from one place to another, is all suddenly upended. And then they, as a result, have to make changes. And what happens? Every decision that you make affects others. Because if you're truly on a team, you have others that are depending on you for your realistic decisions. And if you're not making realistic decisions, you're not making correct decisions. So here's 6 questions. Question 1, what is the reality in this situation? Do others agree with my assessment? So if you have a perspective, do others agree? Are others watching? Are others agreeing that that reality that you've placed in that situation is the same? Question number 2, can I identify each issue? Can I break it down to better understand it? So what are the issues? What are the underlying issues? What are the causes? Get down to the bottom, to the nitty gritty, and then you'll know, right? Again, you need to have more than just yourself. You need to be able to understand others who may be able to help you understand the issues, help you understand where the direction is going, what's the causes. Number 3. Can the issues be fixed? So separate the solvable from the unsolvable. How come sometimes we may get stuck on one issue and then say, that's it, I'm folding in, I'm throwing the chips in, I'm done. When it could be there's one issue that is not solvable or may take longer to find an appropriate remedy. So you throw everything in instead of just saying, well, what can I solve? And maybe that gets me moving along in the right direction, and then I can solve the unsolvable. Number 4, what are the options? So establish a game plan. So what are the issues? Can they be fixed? And then what are the options to fix them? Establish that game plan. How are you going to address what needs to be fixed? And am I willing to follow and commit to the game plan? As a leader, you need to be able to say, yes, this is what the problems are, these are the options, this is what I'm going to employ, and yes, I'm going to follow this. I'm not going to say, well, not today. What do you say when you are faced with this realistic thinking and you're saying, well, I am needing to fix my physical body. I need to go and build up, and I need to go and work out. And then you say to yourself, okay, if I work out, I'm going to feel better, I'm going to have all these benefits, and I'm going to be committed, but you got to do follow through, right? You have to be truly committed. You have to follow through, because if you follow through, you're going to get the result that you want. Simple, right? If you have a team around you, physical trainer, maybe some other people are acting as your life coaches, or your health coaches, maybe some other people are encouraging you, or doing some things for you that get you along that path. Now, are all those members of the team committed to this game plan? This is what I need to do, this is what we're going to do, or in a bigger thing, I'm part of a club that's looking at health. Are we said this is what we're going to do, are we all going to look at that game plan, each individually, and commit to it? Are you going to commit to the plan and say, yes, I'm committing, I'm going to follow through, and here's my proof that I am following through? If we are realistic and we have a problem to solve, then we're going to solve it. But if we define reality and say, we're all happy, everything's okay, I'm not going to be impacted by anybody that's unregulated that's going to come in and take my customers away. Don't rely on government regulation. Don't rely on protectionism, because the next thing you know, someone's found a loophole into your protectionism, and they're going to swamp you. Looking at store closings again. Why is that happening? Well, store closings are happening because of underperformance. Why is that? Well, they're not serving the customers. Something else in town is serving the customers better, or they're going to another city because they prefer that store over the one over here. So the story is about Walmart closing. Well, if Walmart closes a store, there's this big emptiness in town, and people lose jobs. Well, there it is, realistic thinking. Why did you put a store there in the first place and promise low wages and employment and all this, and then the next moment when performance isn't there, you leave, you take off, you say, well, see ya, and then there's devastation afterwards. So people lose jobs. It's because the leaders aren't doing the realistic thinking. They're not letting people know in advance, hey, there's a problem. How many companies keep the problems at the top? They make them opaque to everybody because, well, we can't let everybody know because someone's going to blab to the newspaper, somebody's going to let it out, and we're going to have the wrong image and we won't have time to fix it. But they don't fix it, and then instead they just close up operations and say, well, that's it, see ya. And in the company I work for, they decided, this is probably 20 years ago, they decided to outsource the IT help desk. That's right. They outsource the IT help desk. We do that quite frequently, right? 6 months later, they decided, well, we've really lost the timeliness and the support, and we're not getting what we anticipated, and it's costing us more. So they brought some of the operations back in to pilot a test, bringing help desk services back in. It's like, what's there to test? You already know. You've already done it. Well, maybe you need to do it more efficiently, or maybe you need to do it more effectively. But there's no reason to test it because you may bring it back in. 3 months later, sure enough, they brought it back in. But in that 6 month, 9 month period, they let people go because the decision was bad, because they said, oh, we're not, our realistic thinking is this, and yet, oh, we're losing money, so let's just cut the operation. Let's just say, well, outsource it, because some consultant came to us and said, we can save money. The problem is they didn't save money because all the benefits, all the, putting people out, trust is eroded, belief in the organization, loyalty is eroded or totally devastated. And then we're trying to hire those people back into the company. Oh, you did such a great job, but we need you to come back in. Or a restaurant closes for 3 months while they rebuild the building, and they fire everybody. And then, we'll rehire somebody. Well, we have to reapply. Well, if they know they were going to close down for 3 months, why didn't they figure out how to place those people in other organizations or help them for that time period and then welcome back? And I understand there's some things that you may be able to get rid of, some people that were underperforming, and take your lot with another group of people. But we don't make realistic decisions. We look at the bottom line and say that's the reality, and that's not the reality. There's more extenuating. So today, look at what you are thinking. What are you thinking in this reality? What is your reality saying about you, saying about your team, saying about your business? And make it a blue letter day. Yeah, use the blue. Take leadership. Make a difference. Go through the questions and say, what is it that I need to do? What do you need to do, my friends? What is it that you need to do about your reality to say, yes, today is a good day. Today is what I want. Today is the chance to stop this reality that I fixed in my mind that is not accurate. Take the steps today to think and define the reality the way it needs to be defined, the way it should be defined, and bring people along to be a greater help to you, the people around you, the organization that you lead, the family that you lead. Help employ them. Make it good and make it wonderful. Today's the day. Define your reality with a new perspective. Get the input from others. Make sure that you are seeing things the correct way, and then take action to make it better. Have a great day. Take care. Goodbye.